Brendan O'Carroll was the youngest of 11 children who grew up in poverty, left school at 12 and is now one of the funniest women on television. His character, Mrs. Brown, is the opinionated mammy with the foul mouth and a heart of gold. It was Agnes Brown who saved Brendan from bankruptcy and ruin. As Ross Coulthart discovered, this is a rags to riches story on feckin' steroids.
This programme contains strong language. People say, and they might say, but there is no nudity. Good evening, everybody. Good evening, everybody.
Oh, look at you.
Hello, son.
Hello.
Look at you. You look so you're getting big. He's getting very... Come on, son. Let's go to the stage.
So, do you get excited about this time of the night?
Well, if there's a man like you around, I get excited every night. Every time of the night. No, I do. I love my audience. My people are out there waiting for me.
Do you like Agnes Brown?
Agnes Brown has fed my children. She's educated my children. She's bought all of them a house. She's made my friends and those who I love very comfortable in their lives. And she makes me laugh. I love Agnes Brown.
Good luck with the show. We'll be watching.
He's a lovely boy. He's a lovely boy. He's on the night show. Lovely. He does a stint as a male stripper in his part-time. You can see why. Why, he's lovely credentials. Yeah. Good. See you, Ross. Bye.
See you, Agnes.
This hugging thing you guys do, it reminds me it's a big family atmosphere here, isn't it?
Yeah, you know, it is.
How are you?
Thank you so much.
It would never cross my mind, for instance, to not hug somebody when I meet them. Now, I know sometimes it's very intimidating because you come right at you.
No, it's nice.
No, I do too. I don't usually like to single any particular actor out for mention, but really tonight I thought I was amazing.
Let's look at the fact that almost everybody in the cast is family.
Yeah. So this is my wife, Jenny.
Hello, darling.
Hello.
How are
This
you?
is my son,
Hi,
Danny.
Ross. How are you?
Nice to meet you.
I'm very lucky that I love my kids, and I'm very lucky that I've got kids who are glad to be loved and love me right back. This is my
to see
daughter,
you.
Fiona.
Hello, Fiona. How are you?
My daughter-in-law, Amanda.
It is a family affair, this, isn't it?
This is my brother, Phil.
Darling.
Hello, sweetheart.
Oh, you're too tall, darling.
Family working together and on the road together shouldn't work, but it does.
Ladies and gentlemen, Dermot Brown.
Oh my God, Dermot. You look amazing.
Thanks, Mummy.
It only feels like yesterday I was bathing you.
It was yesterday.
You were one of 11 kids.
Yeah.
You grew up in a fair degree of poverty, didn't you, in Dublin?
Well, yeah, it was poverty. Now, in retrospect, it was poverty. At the time, we didn't realise we were poor.
And your mum was raising 11 kids
Yes,
in a house in this street.
yes. 3 bedrooms. And, well, 2 bedrooms and a box.
So it's the one with the red door.
That's it.
Okay.
There.
Does it bring back memories?
Yeah. Oh, God, yeah.
11 kids in a 3-bedroom house. That's quite something.
And I knew every person on this street. Every single person in every house on this street.
You used comedy as the youngster, didn't you, at a very young age?
All I wanted to ever do was impress my mum. That's all I ever wanted to do was just make my mum proud of me. And one thing I knew I could do for sure was make her laugh. A lot of people ask, is Mrs. Brown based on my mum? I used to say no, but I think maybe somewhere along the line she is. Maybe my mum without the education. My mum started life as a nun, and then she obviously left the nunnery because she had 11 kids. Good move. And she went on to become the first woman elected to the Irish Parliament. One of the things that she went into Parliament for was to change women's laws. It would be hard to believe now, but in the 50s it was legal to beat your wife in Ireland, provided you didn't use a stick longer than your forearm or thicker than your thumb.
And she got that stopped.
Well, she got a bigger stick. Yeah, she got us stopped.
When Brendan was 9, his dad died of asbestosis. His mum retired from politics to be at home full-time. Later in life, tests revealed Brendan has a genius-level IQ. But he's dyslexic, and at 12, he left school. By 20, Brendan was married to his childhood sweetheart, Doreen.
You and Doreen had a son, also called Brendan, and you lost him very early.
Yeah. He lived 3 days, but he still lives. He's still living now. You never lose that sense of loss. You never lose that sense of 3 wonderful kids, and you're looking at them, you keep going, I wonder what he would have been like when he was that age. I wonder what he would have been like when he was doing that. To think you're going to go through your life without things happening to you, or things not going according to plan, would be a ridiculous thought. That hasn't happened to anybody. Everybody fails. Everybody makes a mistake.
It's the mistakes Brendan has made that have shaped his life.
What do you feel when you look at that?
I get the shivers.
Every Irishman thinks he should own a pub, of course.
Honest to God, and not only that, every Irishman thinks that once he owns a pub, his troubles are over.
He was 28 when he and a mate became partners in this pub. But his mate skipped town, leaving Brendan owing £96,000.
You know, for the first 6 months that this happened, after this, I went looking for him. I would have killed him. I would have been in prison. And now I look back and I go, you know what? Wherever he is, and he's since departed this earth, he changed my life.
You could be sitting in this pub right now,
Someday,
thinking about what might have been.
this could be all mine. A dump. Can I have a peep? I haven't seen this place since the day I left it. This was the cabaret room.
Heavily in debt, Brendan needed money fast.
That's the bar. With a stage over here.
He'd always been quick with a joke, so he gave stand-up comedy a go.
I did my own version of Blind Date. I had 3 girls on the stage. What's the first thing you look for in a man? And 2 really posh girls, and I had a real Dublin girl at the end. So the first posh girl said, oh, eyes, I like eyes, a man with strong eyes. So I'm going, strong eyes. And I'm going, oh, God, please make me funny. Got to the second girl, she said, I like a man with a good swagger, who carries himself well. God. And the third girl said, and here's where you can get your bleep ready, I don't care as long as he has a big and the place fell apart laughing. And what I twigged in that moment was, that girl did nothing except be herself. I'd spent years being somebody else, depending on what I was doing. Why don't I just try being myself? The BBC have given me my own show. The fucking Egypts.
Inside the BBC, was there nervousness?
Nervousness? Are you kidding me? They were shitting themselves. Hello!
You are this tearaway success in comedy.
We really don't insist that your family behave the way Mrs. Brown's family does, but we think there's a possibility that they might. I'm coming, Grandad! I didn't do anything. I know, but you will.
Agnes Brown, Mrs. Brown, it's been described as an overnight success, but that's actually not right, is it? Because it's something you've been working on for decades.
Absolutely.
Give us the history of how she evolved.
Started as a 5-minute piece on radio. I'd done an interview not unlike this, but on radio. And I said, I'm writing a soap. 5-minute comedy soap.
You just made that up.
On the spot. I said, 5-minute comedy soap, yeah. So he said, what's it called? And what popped into my head was, the day we had done it, was, I think it was something like maybe the 30th anniversary of the first test tube baby. I know that sounds that they're not related. Who was Louise Brown?
Louise Brown. And that's where Mrs. Brown came from.
I was reading it that morning and he said, so what's it called? And I said, Mrs. Brown's Boys. And he said, what's it about? And I start wapping. Well, just widow, and she lives with adult kids, but she treats them all like their children, you know, and it's really funny, really funny. So he said, I'd love to see the first few episodes.
I can't sleep.
Mrs. Brown on the radio was an instant hit.
Does that smell like chloroform to you?
The success prompted Brendan to take another career gamble
There we are.
and lose another fortune. In 1998, he wrote and directed a movie which was never released.
You had about £2 million or something.
Yeah, the day before we started shooting, I lost my distributor. Oh. Now, that means we lost our money. And I 35 grand in the bank, 75 people there in the crew, and I should have said stop. But I didn't.
So eventually it went bottom up.
Went bottom up and, well, yeah, it did.
What was
I had
that
enough
like?
money. Oh, terrifying. Absolutely terrifying. 2 days in a row. 2 days I sat in the apartment I was living in, all the curtains pulled, didn't turn on the lights, and sat in the dark for 2 days. Didn't eat, didn't drink, just sat in the dark for 2 days.
That same year, Brendan's marriage broke up. Almost £2 million in debt, he turned to Mrs. Brown for help.
No, excuse me.
He turned the radio play into a stage show and gave starring roles to his family and friends who stood by him during the hard times. The show was a sellout, and still is.
Do you want a cup of tea, love?
Oh no, Mammy, sure I'm running late.
No, you don't break your neck. He'd be late as well.
Did Daddy always come late?
Everything with Agnes is, do you want a cup of tea? And actually on stage, they know if I run into trouble, because if I run into trouble, I just go, I'll make a cup of tea.
We just called in to see if you're okay. We heard about Mark.
Do you want a cup of tea, son?
No, Ma. We just called in to see if you're okay. We heard about Mark.
Kathy, for God's sake! Hello!
In 2009, Brendan's phone rang. It was the BBC, and they wanted to put Mrs. Brown's Boys on the telly.
Hello! Welcome to the Brown residence. The BBC have given me my own show. The feckin' Egypts!
But inside the BBC, was there nervousness at the profanity and the vulgarity?
Nervousness? Are you kidding me? They were shitting themselves. Just sit down for a second. Yeah. Yeah. Could you just...
The sniffy critics,
Yeah.
they've given you an absolute mauling. Let me give you some of them. The Independent called it the worst comedy ever made.
Ever.
What do you say to the people out there who charge that it's just vulgar?
Them.
Buster, I'm telling you, if the dog sees you playing with her ball, she'll go mad.
There's no message in Mrs. Brown. We really don't insist that your family behave the way Mrs. Brown's family does, but we think there's a possibility that they might.
Jesus Christ!
Oh, Jesus Christ!
You won't even let me
I do
try.
let you try, Kathy. You're the one that starts these feckin' things, and then when you're halfway through them and they fall apart, I'm the one that has to pick up the piece and try and put the feckin' back together.
Mommy, no! Mommy, I am not doing this with you anymore, all right?
Fine!
8 years ago, Brendan married again. His second wife, Jennifer Gibney, plays Mrs. Brown's daughter.
Gets very weird at home. Who's your mammy? Who's your mammy? I absolutely adore my wife, and she absolutely adores me. So every time I step on the stage and I know she's there, I'm trying to impress her. I only write so that she'll be impressed with me.
So, Jen, there's a moment in every show where I've seen that you get that look in your eye.
Yeah.
And he's just about to go feral. He's about to start ad-libbing.
It's time to play.
I can't do it if you make me laugh. Where did I hear that before? Oh, yeah.
Brilliant show.
Why do you think people love this show?
I think there's an underlying warmth. What age are you, Ruby? I've got a 7-year-old grandson. Say he'd like you. I don't think it demands anything of you. You know, sometimes when you've had a hard day at work and you come home and you're tired and just put your case down, you get your cup of tea. Just give me a laugh. Don't ask me to think.
Mrs. Brown, there's no work out there. In 3 weeks, Mark is finished, and the chance of getting a job is, well, there's nothing.
I know you feel like that, Betty, but you mustn't give up hope.
We're not giving up, Mrs. Brown. Find some work in Australia.
Well, Jesus, we'll miss you, won't we, son?
We're all going to Australia.
When do we leave?
So, Brendan, you're coming to Australia, and you're coming in February next year.
Yeah.
Well, there are a lot of Australians who I'm sure will be, do I say, fecking pleased to see you down
The
under.
new word in Australia. And there's a lot of Australians, I see them on YouTube going, that's nice. That's nice.
Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure to meet all of
Thanks
you.
very much. Thank you.
Do I get a hug everywhere I go?
Yes,
on
you
this
do.
show?
Just 1 second, I got to hold it.
I'll see you down under.
I'm sure that's not sexual.
Who can blame him for wanting to hug Ross Coulthart? We all do, whenever we can. The Australian appearance details of Mrs Brown's Boys stage show are on our website. When we return, more of Sunday Night and then border security.